the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
Whoa, what? DCC, can y'all wrap your head around this? Because I don't know if I can. Brian Griese? That's who we got. That's who we got quarterbacking now. That's who it is. That's what we got going on here. I mean, this is it's a little nuts. I can't I almost can't fathom how we feeling about this Cutback group. TCC, how we feeling? Let me know in the comment section right now. Comment away in the live chat right now and just let me know what the heck you're feeling on this, because this is a much bigger name than I anticipated. Ant said the same thing to me. We were just texting back and forth. And he said the same thing. This is not the name that we expected. Not the name at all. This guy had a nice cush job with ESPN, doing a lot of stuff. They're getting paid a lot of money to be an analyst. I was doing a fairly good job. I mean, he's leaving that now for a coaching gig. Obviously, coaching is something that this is on Griese's mind. This is what he wants to do. He wants to coach, and if he wants to coach, is there a better situation than San Francisco and the Niners? Is there? I don't know if there is. Young quarterback, a team that's been to 2 NFC championship games. Are you kidding me? It almost feels too good to be true. I mean, a guy also who's a Shanahan guy. I mean, let's not forget. Not forget Jay Ellie and CC and watching right now, Megan. Let's not forget where he started off. I mean, where he played. He played in Tampa, right? And my goodness gracious, who started in Tampa Bay? Al Shanahan was in Tampa at that time when Griese was a quarterback, right? He's there with him. So Griese, 46, needs to come in. San Francisco, the report is it's officially expected to announce this next week. So I'm assuming Monday of next week is when we'll get the official announcement. Adam Schefter is the one who broke this on Twitter. Sources are telling Wickersham. So could this fall through? I mean, yes. I mean, this 100% could fall through. Schefter recently has jumped, right? He's jumped on a lot of things. Jumped on the Brady retirement. I mean, ipso facto, it comes out to be accurate and factual, and he ends up not being wrong. In that regard about the Brady stuff. My goodness, JL, you're right. He left the dollars for us. Is that because he wants to get more involved? I would imagine so, right? Signs would point to that being the case. Reality being, Griese has like that coaching itch, that competitive itch that he's not getting as an analyst, and talking on television about the game. So he's gonna try his hand at this in coaching. The good news is, Donald, how you doing, DJ? Donald Johnson. The good news is, right, is that this is huge. It's a bigger name than I think everyone anticipated. This is a guy Kyle is familiar with. This is a guy that knows Kyle's system. He understands what Kyle wants out of quarterbacks. Come from the same mold, played for the same coach there in Tampa. This is nuts. This truly is. I almost can't wrap my head around it. But I mean, this is huge. This is a guy who's going to be able to come in, right? We talked about losing Jimmy Garoppolo. Talk about losing Jimmy Garoppolo, losing a stabilizing force in the quarterback room. A guy who has been around the league, won everywhere he's been, understands Kyle's system, knows how to run it, and teach him those things, and has the experience for Trey to be able to lean on if he needs it. Talk about losing Jimmy Garoppolo and how you're going to replace that. You just did it. I mean, you really just did it with a guy who used to play quarterback not that long ago in this league. I mean, 2009, yeah, it's a while ago. We're not talking about a guy who played in the 1980s or the early 1990s. We're talking about a guy who's played in the last 2 decades and played it very effectively and efficiently in the NFL, that understands Kyle's system, understand what Kyle wants from his quarterback, and has the experience to be able to go to Trey. Right? Trey's going to be able to come to him in meeting rooms and quarterback rooms and breaking down film and talk about this. I mean, let's get Griese, David Campbell. That is good. It is time to get Griese. This is huge, man. This is big time for the 49ers. And I see you're in the chat there. I would want to know. I want to kind of hear from you on this. You type it out for me and let me know if you can. Do you think now this leads to the Niners maybe having the ability to get another young guy behind Trey, or maybe not a young guy, but a guy that could develop with Trey and move with Trey and do some of those things that we talked about like Trey does, and maybe there's a guy in this draft that does it. Dustin Crum ran a surprisingly fast 40. He was throwing some deep shots yesterday. Maybe Dustin Crum now is actually on the table for the Niners in this draft in the 6th, 7th round. I don't know. I could be reading way too much into this, and Dimitri, I appreciate that. But yeah, Niners by nature, you're not wrong, man. What an incredible hire this is. This is bonkers. This is nuts. I did not expect that name. Brian Griese was the last name I expected to hear. Who leaves a cush job at ESPN to come be an NFL head coach, and just, not to be like a head coach, just to be a quarterback coach in the league. It's crazy. He has to have an itch, right? There has to be some sort of itch he wants scratched. He needs that competitiveness, that competitive nature. He's still looking for it, and he's not getting it as an analyst. So he's taking this here. We need Tyrod Taylor as Trey's backup. Tyrod Taylor wouldn't be a bad option. Ant, smash that like button. The rest of you should as well. 21 of you watching, 13 likes. Make sure you hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel as well. Great hire. Debo, that like button, agreed. It makes the Niners offense too slippery to stop. Donald Johnson, you guys, the Griese memes. The Griese memes are going to be off the chart. When Bob Griese shows up, we will have our backup quarterback too. LOL from Frank. You're not wrong there. Beck is worth more working with Trey all offseason. Yeah, no, you're not wrong there. Out of the blue, in Orange B Griese. What's up, my bro? Niners, my nation. What up, Cutback crew? Cyrus, how you doing, my guy? Channel member over here on YouTube. Now this is big, man. This is talk about experience in the quarterback room, being able to replace that with Jimmy Garoppolo. Here, I mean, if anyone was thinking, if anything screams Jimmy's getting traded here in the next couple of weeks, most likely this screams it, right? This 100% screams it. You took quarterback experience. You're taking quarterback experience away from your quarterback room by dealing Jimmy Garoppolo. You just replaced it with your coach. I mean, what a great guy to bring in. Again, Ant and I were trying to pick our brains all week long about who a quarterback coach replacement would be that Kyle knows and trusts. And Griese never came up in conversations, because why would you leave what you have at ESPN, an analyst gig? You don't have the worries and the pressure of performing. You don't have the worries and the pressure of winning Super Bowls, all that fun stuff. I don't know about greater than John Beck. Let's slow the roll there. By nature, let's slow the roll on greater than John Beck. All right, they're different things that are being asked of both guys. Griese is going to be asked to help Trey learn, digest the system, progress through his reads, things of that nature. Beck is specifically and strictly on mechanics. That's what Beck's for. He's trying to help Trey with his drops, his footwork, his release, compacting things down, getting the ball out quickly, hitting the back foot, releasing, getting his lower half into his throws, things like that. Why does this scream Jimmy traded? I know he's gone, but why this move? I don't know if it screams it. It feels like it, right? And for me, it's specifically the experience. Experience at the quarterback position. I think that was one of the more underappreciated things that Jimmy adds to the quarterback room, having played the position for so long, because Trey is so green. Trey hasn't played a lot of football snaps at the college or professional level at the quarterback position. He's green at the position. So you want a guy who he can lean on in terms of picking his brain if he has questions, who's played. Ideally, Griese's played a butt ton. So I think this just screams, right, that they're getting closer to Jimmy being able to move Jimmy. Like, it's getting close to the time where Trey's not going to have Jimmy in the room to lean on, so you have the stabilizing force. It's just what it feels like. And I could be reading way too far into this, right? I could be digging for tidbits here that aren't there. But think about all the other moves that have been made so far by the 49ers, right? You sign Anthony Lynn. We all thought the signing of Anthony Lynn was because of the John Embry situation. Well, it was John Embry on top of the fact that you had Mike McDaniels getting ready to go to Miami, and now we're finding out about Bobby Turner, right? And Bobby Turner not being back for 2022 because of the surgeries he's had on his knee, but he's coming back in 2023. The Anthony Lynn signing makes even more sense now than it did then. It was preemptive for the moves that were coming down the road. The Brian Griese signing could be a similar thing, right? Similar thought process for me anyway. You're signing Brian Griese because you want that experience in the quarterback room with your quarterback coach of a guy who's played in this league. So you're not necessarily reliant on signing a guy necessarily in free agency who brings that to the table as well. So we'll see. We'll see what it all means. Wasn't Griese Brady's roommate? Actually, you know what? Is that accurate? It may be accurate. It may be accurate. So interesting. He was a college football analyst in 2020, broadcast booth for Monday Night Football last year, and now is going to be tasked with Trey Lance, the quarterback position for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, what a first foyer, right? What a first step into the foyer of NFL coaching. The San Francisco 49ers, fresh off of an NFC championship, 2 years removed from a Super Bowl, with a young, incredibly talented, sky is the limit quarterback in Trey Lance, and a roster that's still built to try and go win a Super Bowl. My goodness gracious almighty. Cutback crew, let me know, how do you feel about this signing? Are you excited about this? Are you worried about this? I'm worried, and Ant is correct. Yeah, Ant just cleared it up there. At Michigan, he was Tom Brady's roommate, so that's crazy. Donald Johnson, I agree. It's time to find a special teams coach. Agree. Donald, who do you think? Who do you think is the next guy? Ant and I were talking about this yesterday after the live stream, post live stream yesterday. We were talking about who we thought special teams guys may be, or at least when we thought the rest of the coaching staff was going to kind of get filled out. And we both thought, beginning of next week, we'd have all of our announcements, which would mean, right, in theory, there's got to be a special teams guy here getting signed in the next day or two. Or news breaking about a special teams guy potentially getting signed. So this will be interesting, man. It really is. Donald Johnson, actually don't have a clue. I agree. We talked about in the coaching carousel video, we talked about the special teams assistant coach in Seattle would kind of make sense. He's a guy who spent time here in San Francisco before this. He was with Harbaugh and the Tony Montana special teams unit. That's a guy that could make sense. It could bring in, but a lot of the big names, right, special teams coach wise, that were floating out there have all taken jobs elsewhere. I mean, they're all gone. So there's not really a big name guy there. Could there be a promotion coming from within? Maybe. Or is there a name that we're not thinking about? Is Pat McAfee about to become the special teams coach of the San Francisco 49ers? That's obviously not happening. But I'm just saying, like, right, a name that just kind of comes out of nowhere. That could be the case. And not by nature, Kyle Shanahan pulled a boss move to not hire Beck as a QB coach because that's Trey offseason workout coach. You're right. It was a boss move. Coach Ant, bingo Niner, you're on it there. It's the right. John Beck, Ant kept saying this. When we initially talked about it, he was like, John Beck makes sense. But then a couple days later, we're both talking about it. He's like, it just makes too much sense, right? It's the obvious name. It's not going to be John Beck. And now it's not. No, it's not. Can Griese improve Opke? No. Caleb, no. Nothing can save Troy Opke. That's the people's quarterback anyway. It's going to be crazy. If the Niners let go of Jimmy G, I think the coach has no effing coaching ethics. Okay. Chaffa, I'm sorry you feel that way. Business, man. It's business. It's nothing against Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not being traded because of performance. Jimmy Garoppolo is being traded because of health. It's a reality, right? If Jimmy Garoppolo wins a Super Bowl in 2019 and then gets hurt in 2020, we're probably still having the same conversation, especially if the injuries happen again right now. Should you be rolling with Jimmy? The only difference would have been you wouldn't have drafted Trey Lance most likely in 2021. You probably would have taken a quarterback later or just wait for someone to fall to you at 12 instead of moving up. Niners moved up because Jimmy hasn't been healthy. Regardless of how Jimmy's played and regardless of the fact that you've won football games, Jimmy hasn't been healthy. So Jimmy not being healthy is why Trey Lance, the move got made. Right, the Niners were looking at that draft class and this year's draft class at the quarterback position and going, can we wait a year? No, you can't. And part of the reason you can't is because you had a bunch of generational talent quarterbacks in that last draft. You were sitting at 12. You weren't going to have to do crazy amounts of things in order to move up a few spots to get the quarterback that you wanted or get a guy that you wanted. And so you made the moves. You made the move. And it was a business decision move, right? You're coming up against the cap. The money is getting tight because of COVID and NFL losing out on a bunch of capital. And so you have to start making some sacrifices in some places. Niners have made sacrifices in a lot of places, right? I mean, the Cutback crew, faithful, constantly talking about cornerbacks. Cornerback. We need a big name cornerback. We need a big name quarterback. Why don't we pay cornerbacks? You don't pay cornerbacks because the team identity defensively is not built on being able to have shutdown corners. It's built on getting after the passer, right? Making life a nightmare for quarterbacks in the league. So when you do that, you sacrifice some things on that. The Niners, Kyle Shanahan's always talked about wanting to have a franchise quarterback. You want to have an elite quarterback, and it brings this up all the time. You're either a team who has an elite quarterback or you're trying to find one. Jimmy has elite traits, but Jimmy hasn't shown himself to be elite. Part of the reason he hasn't been elite is because he hasn't been on the field. You can't be elite if you're not on the football field. You can't do it. Does Jimmy have some elite traits? Absolutely. Quick release, being able to throw over the middle of the field the way he does in the tight windows he does. There's not many quarterbacks in the league who do it. In fact, listening to the combine yesterday, if you watch it, even on NFL Network, at one point they started talking about Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit, and one of the things they said was just that a lot of teams in the league respect Jimmy Garoppolo for that exact his ability to throw over the middle of the field, because not many quarterbacks do it the way he does it and takes as many shots and chances the way he does. So it's uncomfortable. It's a sad situation, but at the end of the day, it's business. You got to do what's best for your team now and in the future. Trey is obviously the future. Is he the best option now? That's a question that's going to get debated, and we have a video coming out Sunday that's going to talk about it a little bit more in-depthly. But you got to take some risks, right? You got to risk it for the biscuit. And the biscuit is a championship. It's a Super Bowl. Jimmy got you close. Trey's talent, all of his upside, all of the positive things that he could add to the offense, at some point, right, you got to take a chance. You got to risk it. You got to risk the inexperience and all that other stuff for his upside. Is it this upcoming season? It's looking like it. It's definitely looking like it. And now you got Brian Griese to come in and impart some wisdom and experience onto the young guy that, Jimmy was responsible for this last year, and now your quarterback coach can be responsible for it this upcoming year. Let's see here. If you guys know anything about a business, it's that business you keep the guys. I know what the F they're doing. Other guys, you always know what they're apprentices. Look, man, I get it. You like Jimmy, you appreciate Jimmy. I do too. Chava, if you've been around here a while, you know exactly how I feel about Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't want to move off of Jimmy. I don't want to, but I know we have to, right? There's a difference between, things being done because they need to be done and you doing things because you want to do things. I want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Business-wise, you need to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's time to move in a different direction than Jimmy Garoppolo, because as of right now, what Jimmy has shown you here in San Francisco with his health and his play on the field, you're capped. You're NFC Championship, Super Bowl bound, potentially, if things go the right way, right? Things have to go the right way. Defense has to play really well. You got to be able to run the football. All of those things matter. You're hoping that Trey can develop the things he needs to develop so he can operate the same way Jimmy operates. But you already know if things break down in the passing game that Trey is going to extend some things with his legs. And that allows you the opportunity to escape sometimes when you don't necessarily scheme up the right play or don't have the best, call on the field. Or if he misses something. If he misses an open receiver, Trey can keep plays alive and then find a guy late. Jimmy, that's not a strength. That's not something Jimmy can do. And there's a handful of quarterbacks in the league who can. And a lot of the quarterbacks who can tend to be elite quarterbacks, right? They can extend play. Look at Aaron Rodgers. Even in old age with broken toe, Aaron Rodgers still finds ways to extend plays and make throws that he shouldn't make. And they somehow work out in his favor. Trey has the ability to do those things as well, which is why I have to keep talking about like the risk-reward factor, right? He has the ability. We haven't seen him do it consistently, but we've seen it at times. So it's there. It exists. Can it translate into, production more often than not? We're going to see. 49ers Cutback should have 10K subs by now. Niners by nature. I'm not gonna lie. I may be a little biased here, but I agree. I do agree with you, my guy there. Niner by nature too with the $5 super chat. Debo that like button, y'all. Agreed. Hit that like button. Smash that thing into oblivion. Let's get into more of what the Cutback crew is saying on this because this is nuts, man. Coach Ant, nice. I have a 12 and 10-year-old. Okay. Do you recommend the softball there for first go arounds. Okay, I like it. Luke Luna with the $1.99 super chat as well. The super chat emoji. I like that a lot, my guy. Jimmy, please get us a second. If this happens, we can draft Boy Mafi and Jalen Petrie. Hey, those are some good names right there. Boy Mafi is going to be fantastic. I'm looking forward to D-line tomorrow with that. The trade of Jimmy Garoppolo will be a defining moment in 49ers history for the Shanahan legacy. We'll not know the full impact until 2 to 3 seasons have passed. Just a gut feeling, both will do well. Frank, you're not wrong there. Trading Jimmy is the defining moment for Shanahan's legacy because it's tied to Trey Lance now. You made the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo to bring him in. You signed him to the big contract, but you gave up a lot of your future capital trying to move up to get Trey Lance, knowing that next year there wasn't going to be a quarterback that you'd go to sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. So their destinies are intertwined. Kyle's putting his faith in the young guy, and we're gonna see what happens with that. It's just because of Jimmy G's health, and also became because of cap space. Correct, Donald. But here's the thing, right? If Jimmy G was healthy, we wouldn't care. If Jimmy G was healthy, the Niners won the Super Bowl in 2019. This conversation is not being had. You're paying Jimmy Garoppolo the $25 million, and no one's complaining. No one's saying a word. 2020, he stays healthy, and we get back to a Super Bowl, win or lose. You're probably not drafting Trey Lance. You're probably taking a chance on David Mills, is the guy was talking about, been talking about. But you're gonna roll with Jimmy because he got you there back-to-back years, right? And if you get back to an NFC Championship game again, I don't think anyone's calling for Jimmy's head. Jimmy would still be here. It's like you said, it's his health. Let's see what Ant said there. Jimmy will definitely get the 49ers a return in draft picks. He is well respected around the league. Agreed. Extremely well respected. Extremely well respected. As the great philosopher Triple H says, we must do what's best for business. Candy art, bro. Oh, Caleb, you are absolutely phenomenal. You're on point with the rest. Truly are. Let's see here. A big one here by Donald. Grant hates Jimmy. Same reason Stephen A. Smith hates him. Because he gets pretty women and they can't get a blow-up doll. Come on now. They could definitely get a blow-up doll. Anyone could do that. Look, at the end of the day, a lot of people dislike Jimmy Garoppolo for whatever their reason, right? And there's a lot of people that love Jimmy Garoppolo. It's really hard to not like Jimmy Garoppolo. The hate that has come his way has been kind of unwarranted, and it's a little odd. It's out there. But look, you can't always be liked by everybody, right? That's the reality of the situation. Not everyone's gonna like what you put to the table, what you bring to the table. So it is what it is. Jimmy knows that. That's why Jimmy doesn't hold any grudges or hard feelings, right? I mean, think about his going away presser. There wasn't a whole lot of negativity there. There's a lot of thankfulness for people who have supported him. Being thankful to the fan base who hasn't always supported him. That's the reality of the situation. So it is what it is. Does Malik Willis look as special as Trey Lance? No. Ant says not close. Willis isn't close to Trey. 1,000% agree with you. And people who were talking about him throwing the deep ball last night, Justin Herbert looked significantly more impressive at his draft combine than Malik Willis did. And I saw people like putting up his highlights and stuff like that. I watched a couple of those balls last night sail. I mean, the quarterbacks did not look good last night. We were watching it live while we were live streaming. They consistently were throwing bad balls. Every single one of them that was out there was consistently throwing not great footballs. And I was watching the cut-ups of the highlights and was like, yeah, if all you do is watch highlights, if all you did was watch the highlights of the NFL Combine, and you watched a 6-minute highlight with 30 throws from the quarterbacks, maybe 50 throws of the quarterbacks, and that's spaced out between like 10 guys, we're talking about 5 throws. 5 throws? Over an entire day? 5? That's what we're getting excited about? There's nothing to get excited about with this quarterback class. It's just not. It's not there. What does this mean if Brady were to come to SF? Well, I mean, if Brady were to come to SF, this doesn't really mean anything, right? It means Trey's got 2 guys. But I think the Brian Griese move is for familiarity, right? Kyle's got familiarity with Brian Griese. He coached him. He's seen him play. He knows that he understands the lineage that he's coming from, what is expected. There's a comfort level there with the 2, and then playing experience. The playing experience for Trey to be able to rely and lean on as a quarterback in the film room. Kyle's obviously learned probably stuff from Brian Griese in terms of watching film. because it was an early stop for Kyle Shanahan as a coach. So this is a guy who understands how he prepares as a quarterback, what he sees. And he probably is like, Trey could use some of that. And let's get that in here and let's instill that upon this quarterback room. For Caleb, he's going to be instilling it upon your boy Nate Sudfeld. So that's a positive for Nate Sudfeld. He gets some, playing experience quarterback to. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm not expecting him to be great to start. I expect him to win games. Hey Donald, listen. I think Ant and I both agree with that statement, and Ant said I think that's fair. If Trey Lance comes out and then just doesn't cost the Niners games and the Niners win, then this was the right decision. It was 100% the right decision. Anyone that expects Trey to come out next year and blow the world on fire, I mean, the people talk about MVP stuff. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's a lot to expect. People, the Mahomes comparison is a really unfair comparison to Trey because Mahomes was more mechanically ready to play at the NFL level than Trey Lance is. Yes, they both have the athleticism. Yes, they both have the big cannon arm. Yes, they both sat for a year behind what some people would call mediocre quarterbacks in Alex Smith and Jimmy Garoppolo before getting their shot and their opportunity. But Patrick Mahomes was a special type of talent who didn't have a lot of mechanical flaw issues coming out. Like, not a bunch of them. He had some, but not a bunch. Trey had some. I don't want to say glaring because that wouldn't be fair to Trey because we saw. I know I saw, and Ant remembers this on the pod. My complete flip after his pro day, watching it originally, was not very happy with it because I still saw a windup and things of that nature. Ant was like, Alex, go watch film. Stop being overly critical. Don't do your Alex thing where you've honed in on a negative and you won't get off of it until you see like drastic improvement. And I just like, okay, fine. So I go watch North Dakota State film, come back and watch his pro day workout, and it's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of improvement. There's a lot of improvement. All right, I can be honest about it. So Trey's done a lot. He's done a lot, and he's come a long way already so far. But yeah, don't put the world on this kid's shoulders, man. Let this kid go out there and sling this thing, and he's gonna make some mistakes. He's gonna make some incredible, great plays. Still, to this day, one of the greatest deep ball throws that I've seen in my lifetime in person. And I've watched some pretty good quarterbacks sling the football around. I can't believe some of the throws that he makes deep, man. It's absolutely incredible at 21. Acknowledge him, it says KNDR collectibles. Jimmy's winning percentage is what separates him from most QBs in the mix. Injuries really are the only reason he's not a top 10 quarterback. Maybe. Never had a 4,000 yard passing season. He hasn't done that yet. And that's usually what starts putting people into that, one of the best quarterbacks in the game is when he throws 4,000 yards, and he hasn't done that. Look, Jimmy has a lot of promise and a lot of potential. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. Nothing makes me believe that he's going to, though, either. That's the other problem. There's always been something every year. When you have that, it's just hard. It's just really hard. Now, he's played through a lot of those injuries, and he's played very well through a lot of them. So there's that too. You really can't. Anyone that wants to knock Jimmy Garoppolo, it's usually play on the field, which is kind of weird to me because he's never really played like at a bottom 15 quarterback in the league level. He's always played, for me, in a top 15, top 20 area. It's never about character though with Jimmy. It's not. And character can go a long way, especially if you're a team that's looking to rebuild or reestablish a culture. Character is the big difference between you winning and losing football games. And Jimmy is showing, right? He has the type of character to take a team that's not doing too well, put in the work, show everybody what you need to do day in and day out, and take a team that was maybe losing games close or was just not getting over the hump and get them there. I mean, literally, that was the culmination of this season, right? He wasn't necessarily playing great early in the season. The team wasn't playing very great. He gutted it out. He kept pushing. He kept grinding. He starts playing really well, and all of a sudden, the Niners start winning games. I mean, let's not forget, when the team turned the season around, Jimmy Garoppolo was playing some gosh darn good football. A couple touchdowns every game, no turnovers, 400-yard passing games. When we got rolling there in the middle of the season, off of 4 straight losses, Jimmy Garoppolo was the guy playing some of the best football on the team. Yes, he had Debo doing big things. There was just a lot of things happening, but Jimmy was playing good football. Did he drop off after that? Yeah, he did. He also got hurt. I mean, typically when Jimmy gets hurt, his play drops off, and the team stepped up around him. But that's why it's football, right? It's a team game for that exact reason. What is up, Android user, newest Patreon member over on Patreon? How you doing, my guy? The great JM says, Brian Griese, LMAO, the Commanders should take 2 seconds for Jimmy GQ. And gives a nice little winky face. I'll take 2 seconds. I don't think anybody who wouldn't would be absolutely crazy. The only Brian I want associated with the quarterback position, because Brian Hoyer would be terrible from Brandon West. I saw Grant Cohn today absolutely lost it about that. Someone mentioned Brian Hoyer, and he was like, this would be the worst thing ever in a million years. I would prefer not Brian Hoyer, but Brian Hoyer is a guy who does know the system. Going to be Brian Hoyer, isn't it? It's going to be Brian Hoyer. Trey is definitely ready to start games, but in my honest opinion, he's not likely ready to consistently drive them in pressure situations. There will be growing pains with Lance, and he will improve without a doubt. Frank, this is a very balanced, reasonable take. And anyone who is expecting different or more than that is, you can expect different or more. I would just like to know what you've seen from Trey that makes you think that, because I think there's going to be highs. I think there's going to be lows. I think the highs are going to be stupidly high because it's going to be something that 49ers fans haven't seen at the quarterback position in a while in San Francisco, all the big deep throw stuff. And then I think the lows are going to be pretty low because there's going to be situations where he forces some things or misses some things and just can't get into a rhythm. And it's going to feel like, oh God, the only problem is, well, not the problem, but I think one of the biggest things is people aren't going to be honest about why he's struggling. I think people are going to put the blame on Kyle, and I think that would be unfair. But welcome to being a head coach in the NFL. Welcome to be a coach in the NFL. Fan bases aren't always going to give you the benefit of the doubt in that regard, in that situation. I became a Patreon using a different email address. Can I still get fancy TCC flair here? I'll have to work on it. I have to work on that Android user. I'm not sure. I don't know if anything transfers over here, but if you're over on Discord, let me know, because I can give you special privileges over on Discord. So do that. And anyone who's not on Discord, if you want to hop over in the Discord, it's always live. There's always stuff going on over there. Link should be popping up here in the chat pretty gosh darn soon. Can we get Michael Vick as a quarterback coach for Lance instead of assistant great JM? Obviously not, because Brian Griese is the quarterback coach. So no. I've seen a couple people talk about how we needed to get a mobile quarterback as a quarterback coach. I did see that on Twitter a little bit. That's not always what you're looking for, right? With when it comes to players, you want to build on weaknesses and obviously, rely on strengths. I think Kyle Shanahan himself is going to be able to put Trey in situations to rely on his strengths. We saw, the designed runs for Trey, the quarterback sweeps, quarterback powers, some read option stuff. Not much of it, but a little bit of it with Trey Lance in the games that we did see him get in and get to play. But you want a coach who's going to keep Trey not wanting to improve, but keep him improving in other areas where he's a little bit weaker. I would say areas that he's going to be weak right now are preparation and obviously not necessarily watching film, but understanding what he's seeing on film, breaking down film at the NFL level, number one. But just understanding defenses, coverages, right? Like those types of things. Those are the areas that Trey is still learning. I don't think he's going to have to learn too much in the preparation category. I think he got a lot from Jimmy Garoppolo last year. But having another person come in who may prepare slightly differently, allows you to take the positives from both guys and then turn it into your own routine, so you get to do things your own way. Right? Like that's kind of how it works. That's what you want. That's what Jimmy got that in New England, and then when he comes to San Francisco, right? You get the Tom Brady preparation, the Josh McDaniels preparation, everything that you want to do with the quarterback position there. And then you come to San Francisco and you get Kyle Shanahan's level of preparation and what he wants to do, and you find a way to mesh the two and make him work like a marriage. That's the same thing here. You got Jimmy Garoppolo's preparation with Rich Gangarello, Trey Lance's first year, to now Brian Griese and whoever is the other quarterback other than Sudfeld that's going to be in there as the backup. That he's going to get to pick their brains of everybody and figure out how to best make it work for Trey going forward, which is not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. Oh, let's see here. He'll be a great hire. Watch and see. Awesome job by Kyle to pick him as a quarterback coach. I definitely had a say in it. He has to. He had to have had some sort of say in it. I'm excited about it. That's for sure. It's gonna be exciting. Wanted to show that TCC pride. Android user will figure something out. We'll figure something out. Luke, I like Lindstrom as well. Yeah, Lindstrom is phenomenal, and Luke and everyone in the Cutback crew right now. That's huge. I know a great mobile quarterback that could coach Trey. His name is Troy. No, he's a cornerback. Knock it off, Caleb. You knock it off. Drew Brees would have been a nice hire too as a quarterback coach. Agreed. But does Drew want to give up the cushy job? Does Drew want to give up the cushy analyst job on NBC that's paying him a buttload of money to sit in a studio and talk and be able to see his family 6 days a week? Right? Like these are the things. This is why Brian Griese was so kind of out there. Is who wants to give up the cush job? Get paid a lot of money, sit there and talk about football one night a week. Yeah, you got prep work to do and you got interviews and all that other stuff, but the world's changed, right? Before, these guys had to go into a studio or travel to whatever it is. But throughout the week now, you can do it on Zoom virtually from home. You interview these guys virtually. You don't need to be in person for the interview. You can get that done. I mean, the way technology is advanced now, these guys can be home 5 days out of the week, fly for 2 days, come home. Does it get any better than that as an analyst? I mean, is it really? I don't think so. That's about as cush of a job as you could possibly have. So the fact that Brian Griese wants to come into the building and wants to be here 7 days a week from OTAs until, hopefully Super Bowl, I think that's a huge thing for the 49ers. It's a guy who wants to be in this room. He's taking the hard path. This ain't the easy path. Easy path was staying on Monday Night Football and getting paid six figures or maybe gosh darn close to six, more than six figures. You paid millions. So making millions of dollars to talk about football one night a week. That's the easy way. All right, this ain't the easy way. You gotta have, especially with the 49ers fan base and quarterback position. Are you kidding me? There ain't nothing easy about this job. If Trey struggles, Brian Griese is going to get flack. Kyle Shanahan will get flack too, but Brian Griese and Kyle Shanahan will get flack if Trey struggles. Right? That's just the reality of the situation. He is not throwing himself into a friendly situation for a quarterback coaching job. He really isn't. And I respect the heck out of that because nothing tougher than, putting the onus and stepping into a situation where the expectations are not only high, but you have a guy there who is talented beyond measure. Sky is the limit in terms of what he could be and this potential that he could develop into, and doing that in year one. My goodness gracious. Honestly, I think Trey is going to come into camp a different dude. This offseason is huge for him. 100% Niners. Niner by nature. 100%. I hope the 49ers are able to incorporate a downfield element with Trey as the starter. I mean, they did that with Jimmy. There were times where the guys took the top off the defense. The difference is Trey has an uncanny confidence in ability to throw the ball deep. You don't see it this many guys at this age. Like there's a handful of guys that want to take those 50-50 shots consistently. It's not something that you see in a lot of quarterbacks. He has that. He has that right now. So that means you're going to expect to see some more 50-50 balls. Expect it. You're going to have situations where you're going to have one-on-one coverage over the top, and maybe the safety is rolled and is sitting over the top and the coverage and leverage, and Trey's just going to trust his arm and trust his guy and put the ball up. Some more of that. So a couple things with that, right? It could mean big things. It could mean huge things. It could also mean scary things. Scary things could also happen with that. So we'll see. We'll see what that means. We'll see if it does anything, and we'll see how it changes things. Let me know too. I think I was dropping some frames there for a little bit. So if I was dropping frames and things were not going well, TCC let me know because it looked like for a second there I was glitching out. So let's see. Are you of the school of thought where naturally talented players sometimes don't coach well because they may not be great at teaching what came naturally to them? Listen, I have a school of thought that no. I the way you phrased it, I'm gonna say no, Android user, and not because I think you phrased it improperly. I think the way you phrased it right is that naturally talented players, they don't have to work as hard. That is the case for some guys. There are some guys that is 100% the case. What I have typically seen or at least thought or have recognized as a coach is that those guys don't typically make it to the league. They drop off before. Because there's guys who are close to them skill position wise that get themselves there. They just do. So usually by the time you get to the NFL, that's not the case. And it's definitely not the case with Trey. Trey is anything but that. Trey is 100% a coachable guy, extremely intelligent, high IQ, hard worker. So if you're Kyle Shanahan, if you're John Lynch, if you're Brian Griese, you're going to have a guy who comes in and wants to be taught. He wants to learn. He wants to improve. He wants to get better. And that's a huge plus, because when you got a guy like that, a young guy like that in the room every day, I mean, you want to get up. You want to get up in the morning and get to the building, because you know he's waiting for you. You know he's there and wanting to put in the effort and wanting to grind. That's absolutely huge for a coaching staff. He's going to put his rep on it. Let's see. Not all great players will make good coaches. Stop with every name as coaches, please. Brian Griese is a great dude and very smart, knows the material part of the game and what it takes to be a true pro. Correct, Bobby. Correct. Anyone say anything else other than that? Did I say anything different? In fact, I think I said, part of the reason you're bringing Brian Griese in is he understands the system. He understands what Kyle wants out of the system, and is going to be able to impart the wisdom that you're losing with Jimmy Garoppolo. So, Bobby, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with this. Will Brian Griese be the turning point? No. I think Brian Griese is, a guy that Kyle trusts, a guy that knows what Kyle wants, what the system is, what is expected of his quarterbacks, and what he wants his quarterbacks to do. And is going to be able to bring something different to the table in terms of preparation that Trey didn't get last year with Scangarello and Jimmy Garoppolo. Not because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't prepare well or Rich Scangarello doesn't prepare well, but because they're going to prepare differently. Brian is going to prepare differently than Jimmy did, right? They're going to see film in similar ways, but they may break things down or understand risk rewards differently, right? They were different quarterbacks. Brian Griese was a different quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. So there's a new lens you get to add to Trey's lens that he's developing as a quarterback, how he sees the game and how he's viewing it, how it's coming through his eye, right? And how he's processing it. So look, I'm excited. I'm excited about what that may be. I'm excited about what they may be. We'll see. Let's see. I met ex-players who are naturally talented and want to become a coach. Got it, Android user. Got it. Not always. I mean, I'm of the school of thought, right, that it's when it comes to talent is one thing. It's preparation. So if you're a talented player and you prepared really well, that can translate. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I don't think anyone would say that Mike Singletary was a player who didn't translate or who didn't prepare as a player. He was a great player, extremely talented, gritty, tough, physical. But it just didn't translate the same way as a head coach. He's pretty good as a position coach, not bad. It didn't translate as a head coach. It just depends, right? I mean, you have guys like Belichick who never played a down of professional football, who are incredible minds, and it works, makes it work. It's really about who you are as a person and how you understand the game, and then your ability to vocalize. Right? Get players to understand, get players to buy in. It's a mix. It's a mix of those things. I've always said this. Ant, like my co-host, if you're a new person here on the podcast, never heard us before, you never listened to us before, Ant is one of the creators of this podcast, but the co-host of this podcast. One of the greatest minds I've ever coached with as a coach, like in terms of understanding the game and then being able to take his knowledge and impart that on players. I learned a lot from him when I first started coaching. That's hard to do, man. It's really hard to do. It's an underappreciated skill as a coach, is being able to take what is in your head and make it digestible for your guys. And not just make it digestible, but make them want to do that thing at all costs. Like they believe in it so much that they'll do just about anything to go out there and get it done and run through the brick wall for you. Not every coach can do that. That's an X factor skill for a coach. And you see it every year, right? This is why there's coaching turnover in the NFL. It's part of the reason why Mike Tomlin with the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's crazy that he's been there as long as he's been there, had the success that he's had there. Not a single losing season in 10 plus years as a coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's crazy. That's absolutely bonkers. Turnover, new personnel, new players, and they've done that with turmoil in the locker room, right? With distractions. Still winning games and getting into the playoffs each and every year, not having a losing season. I mean, right? It doesn't make any sense. But we'll see. I think Brian Griese definitely has all of the requisite attributes, though, that Kyle's looking for his quarterback coach. Knowledgeable. I don't know if having played the position at the NFL matters to Kyle, but I mean, you're gonna have it. You're going to have it now. That's for gosh darn sure. I said sir there, but I meant sure. Here to grease the wheels for Brady, says Frank. LOL. Possibly he does know Tommy. Played in Tampa. Oh, and there's a chance. Jerry Moss says typical Shanahan signing. LOL. You're not wrong, man. Jerry, you're not wrong. Kyle, the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree is filled with guys that Kyle Shanahan has coached, played with, been around, whatever it is. I mean, that's just the reality. It's guys that understand what Kyle wants. And obviously when they either played for Kyle or around Kyle were guys that, were typically hardworking dudes. So there's that. There's absolutely that. Yes, Mike can't win with him Singletary. Good old Mike can't with him Singletary. Everything here about Trey is he learns fast, works hard, and hungry. That's what you want in a QB. It is, especially in a young QB. You want a guy who's going to work hard. You want a guy who's going to soak things up like a sponge. It's also easy to soak things up when you're with a sponge when you're 21 years old, right? You're still green to all of this. And Trey is. He's green to all of it. It's a positive and a negative for Trey Lance. Negative in the sense that he doesn't necessarily have the requisite experience. Both playing in college and playing at the professional level, and is going to see a lot of things that maybe he's never seen before, but great in the sense that, that means if he does pick those things up and soak them up like a sponge and learns quickly, the more he's exposed to, both visually, just seeing it on film or seeing it in practice and in game, means that the development and the curve, right, that learning curve should be high, and he'll get to a faster spot than a lot of people want, or a lot of people maybe expect him to get to. Before he's necessarily ready. Who knows? I am mad if we get Brady. No one should be mad if we get Brady. Right? If we get Brady, it's not a knock on Trey Lance. This is something Ant and I have been harping on. If Tom Brady ends up in San Francisco, it's not because Trey Lance isn't ready. It's because it's Tom Brady. Right? It's Tom Brady. No 49er fan 2 years ago would have said no. Why would you say no now? Fresh off of leading a team to a Super Bowl and winning it a couple seasons ago, last season. Took a Tampa Bay team that was dead in the water towards the end of the year with all the injuries and drug them through the playoffs. It'd be crazy to me to say no. It'd be crazy. But hey, it is. Ant is schooled as well as you, Alex. I'm fairly schooled. Fairly. I don't want to toot my own horn too much, especially with the football category. I did a lot of my football prep early, about ages 14 through 20, and then took a nice fat chunk of time off away from football. Was not around football as much as I probably wanted to be. That's because I was involved with basketball and running my own program at age 20 all the way through my late 20s. So, I understand preparation. Understand film study, understand, culture building, all that type of stuff. So moves like this get me excited because these are moves that keep your coaching staff, your organization, and your foundation solid. Because it's a guy who understands what you want to do and how you want to do it and can instill that upon your players and get them to buy in. That's what you're trying to do, get everyone to buy into the culture and continue buying into the culture. Brian Griese is going to help in that regard for sure, as well as understanding the game and understanding what to see. Niner by Nature, 5 first-round picks for Brady. That's never going to happen. I think it was more tongue-in-cheek from Bruce Arians than anything else. I think the point he was trying to make was that Tom's not going anywhere unless we want it to happen. Does this hire mean Bob Griese SF? Could, right? Maybe not like could. Maybe they'll do the same thing. Maybe Bob Griese and Mike Shanahan will both have access to the feeds, the practices and things, and just be able to sit there and consult without consulting, right? Maybe that's what we got. A shady Brady deal and nothing personal, but screw you, Trey. Don't come on now. Bob can be our backup quarterback. That'll be funny. Get the likes to 50, y'all. We can do it. Yeah, hit that like button. We're almost there. 7 more. Michael Vick more. Colin Kaepernick more. Hit that like button right now. A lot of free agents will want to follow him here if Brady comes. You're not wrong. Gronk would go from, only wanting to play for a couple of teams to probably wanting to land and be in San Francisco. How the F is there a person alive thinking Tom? How the F is there a person alive? Because Tom is not ruled out playing. Went on his own podcast and hinted at it again. Went on a couple different radio shows, hinted at it again. I don't think Tom Brady wants to retire. I think he retired because he's sick of Bruce Arians and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Personal, but I mean, if you look at everything that's happened with Tom Brady and what's been going on with that situation, it kind of seems like Bruce Arians rubbed him and Brian Leftwich the wrong way all season long. And he's just done. He's sick of it. Didn't want to deal with it anymore. He wants to move on. And if that's what happened, then that's what happened. And I'm not going to sit there and blame Tom Brady for anything or Bruce Arians for anything for why he wants out or why he doesn't want to be there. But the reality is it seems like that's kind of what he was looking for. He was looking for a way to get out of that situation, to get out from underneath Bruce Arians. Bruce came out and said as much too in a presser. He says, I know Tom gets a lot of credit, but there were a lot of guys that helped us win that Super Bowl. He doesn't want to give Tom Brady credit. Bruce Arians finally won his first Super Bowl. He didn't want to give it to Tom. What about me? What about, Mike Evans? What about Chris Godwin? What about, all these other guys, Leonard Fournette, the O-line? It sounds to me like Bruce Arians is trying to rewrite the narrative of why they won a Super Bowl. Well, not rewrite the narrative, but say, we won the Super Bowl because of everything. Tom obviously played a role, but Tom wasn't the only reason. But there's a reason you brought in Tom Brady. It was because you thought you could win a Super Bowl if Tom Brady was the quarterback. And you're right. You won a Super Bowl. And now you pissed him off. And now he doesn't seem like he wants to play for it anymore. And now you got players retiring and not wanting to re-sign. Big yikes, Tampa Bay. Big yikes indeed. Have you heard of any other rumors of coaching staff hires other than the announcements that will come out next week? I haven't. In a surprising twist, Brad, the 49ers don't have leaks. They don't. Which is why, look, if Brian, there's a chance that we're doing this live stream right now and come like tomorrow morning or in the next hour, Brian Griese can be like, huh? What? That's not happening. I'm not the quarterback coach for the 49ers. There's still that possibility because nothing's official. Nothing is like official. The Niners haven't come out and announced this. Now they're going to probably announce it next week, but we'll see, right? Like any of these things can change. The Niners just don't leak. They don't typically have leaks. And you might have John Lynch right now sitting at the combine and being like, who the heck told you, Schefter? Or who knows, maybe it was John Lynch just putting it out there now. Who knows? You never know. Sounds like a cone show, says Freak Stop. Okay. All right. Well, it could be a cone show, but all right, my guy. I'm not sitting there with my SI banner behind there. Collab with Grant Cohn. If Grant ever wanted to work with us, we'd be willing to work with him. We're willing to work with anybody. We enjoy this community. We enjoy all the talking heads. We enjoy everybody. We may not agree on everything, but I think that would make for entertaining stuff. I agree with that as well. Barkley for Jimmy, says BV. Possibly. I mean, is anyone gonna say no to Saquon Barkley? Cutback crew? Would you say no to trading for Saquon Barkley? We'll put the poll up right now. Would you say no for Saquon Barkley? I wouldn't, personally. I mean, it's $7 million. $7 million is what his cap hit would be this year. And I know some people would be like, well, that's a lot of money. We're moving off of Jimmy to save that money. You're not wrong. Saquon Barkley with Elijah Mitchell and possibly Raheem Mostert. I mean, that's dangerous. That is dangerous. I like that backfield. I truly do. Nah, bro, but it makes sense. Just heard about that move, low-key clutch signing. I also like the wide receiver coach, Leonard Hankerson. John, agreed. The Leonard Hankerson signing was a fantastic one. Again, another Kyle Shanahan guy, played for Kyle Shanahan. Spent time with Kyle in a couple of different stops in the NFL. So Kyle understands his work ethic. He understands his preparation. He understands, he knows that Mr. Hankerson, Leonard Hankerson, our new wide receiver coach, that he understands the system. He understands what is expected of his wide receivers. He understands that Leonard's going to be able to impart, preparation, not just preparation, but route running, timing, releases, where we need to be in space on 3-step, 5-step drops on certain routes. He's going to be able to impart that and continue that going forward with the rest of the wide receiver group going forward. My goodness gracious. And if the Niners are going with a young wide receiver in the draft, then you have a young coach who used to play in the league that guys are going to look up to and be like, wow, this is a guy who, was Leonard Hankerson the greatest wide receiver in the NFL? No, but he made a career in the NFL. who's a guy who was in the league for 7-8 years. So this guy knows what it takes to make a roster. This guy knows what it takes to be on a 53-man roster, to play football in the NFL. Yeah, maybe he didn't play at the highest level, but he didn't have all my skill sets, right? He didn't have all the things that I bring to the table if you're a Christian Watts. Size and the speed and the hands and everything else and the chemistry with Trey Lance already. But he's going to help me get ahead in the system. He's going to impart, 7 years of playing experience on me that I don't have day one, which is a positive thing for the San Francisco 49ers. I think we all would love it if it was still Wes Welker, but the reality is Wes Welker wanted to be closer to his family, and he gets that. Is the Raheem deal done, said Android user? Not yet. Nothing is done yet, and no reports of it yet. We're 1 like away, folks. We're Jimmy Ward likes away from 50. Hit that like button right now. Get this thing up to 50. I'd rather get Cordero Patterson. Motivation me only. I agreed with you there. Cordero Patterson would be fantastic. Would I rather have Cordero Patterson than Raheem Mostert? I don't know about rather, especially seeing that Cordero Patterson, that contract for him right now is looking like it's going to be between $6.5 and $9 million a year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. You save $2 million by trading for Saquon. Also, Cutback crew, let's be honest here. I want to be honest about this. Oh, I think I lost everybody for a second there, but we're back. It looks like we're back. Do we honestly believe well, not honestly believe Saquon Barkley. Do you guys think that he wouldn't have an impact? I think it would be huge. I think it would be absolutely huge. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Cordero Patterson is going to draw some interest from some. Does he want a ring or does he want to get paid? He hasn't made a butt ton of money in his career. He really hasn't. So he may want that bigger contract. If he wants the bigger contract, it's going to be harder for the 49ers. It's going to be really harder. What's going on with the stream being choppy? I don't know. It's kind of cutting in and out right now on my end over here. I don't know. It's been a little unstable. Looks like it's stabled out now. It's kind of stabilizing now. We'll go for a little bit longer though and see what happens. So we'll see. Patterson over Mostert, availability matters. Jacob, you're right. It does matter. Patterson over Mostert, it does. But $9 million. You have to pay $9 million for Cordero Patterson. Are you doing that when you can pay $1 million for Raheem Mostert? And we wouldn't be expecting Raheem Mostert to be RB1 because you have Elijah Mitchell and you have Deebo Samuel and all of that stuff. It's just, you have to weigh, right? You have to make sacrifices as a team. There's certain things you have to give up. Cordero Patterson, as dynamic as he could be in terms of a runner and a pass catching option, right? $9 million allows you the opportunity to bring back a couple other people if you don't have to pay him $9 million, right? If you had a choice, let me put it to you this way, right? If we can only sign one free agent this offseason to a $9 or $10 million contract, do you want DJ Jones? Do you want Laken Tomlinson? Or do you want Cordero Patterson? Something you have to consider, because DJ and Laken are looking like they're going to be in that $9 million range, somewhere in there. So you may only be able to bring one of those guys back, and if you'd rather have Cordero Patterson, you might not be able to bring either of those guys back. So it's tough. It is tough. It's tough to know for sure what's going to happen there. Rhett will be cheap and come back, and hopefully they bring back Mostert. DJ might be just too much to bring back. Maybe. Might be. John has said that DJ is going to make it difficult. And I think part of the reason DJ is going to make it difficult is DJ wants to get paid. I don't blame him. I'd want to get paid too after the season I just had. Being a key impact player on a D line that was absolutely nightmarish from about week 13, 12 on. In the playoffs, in the run. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts, man. It truly is. Motivation only says our O-line is bad, so you'd rather have Laken Tomlinson. I get it. Some people feel like that's the case. The O-line is terrible, and you got to improve it. So you bring back Laken, who is a guy who's always been healthy and played pretty well. I get that. I do like drafting a running back in the late rounds. Coach Ant, 1,000% agree with you there. 1,000%. Mostert will command at least $3 million on the open market. Crazy when healthy, a team will bite. Jacob, that is possibly true. There's a couple of teams out there who are going to look at Raheem Mostert and kick the tires on it. The Dolphins are definitely one of them. Mike McDaniel loves him. The question for Raheem Mostert is do you want to get paid a butt ton of money, or do you want to try and finish what you started here in San Francisco and win a Super Bowl? I mean, that's the question that's going to get answered. And the only person who has the answer to that is Raheem Mostert, right? If Raheem wants to be in San Francisco, he's going to take less money. If he wants someone to pay him close to what he made this last year, he'll go to Miami. That's what it is. I mean, that's what it is. There may be another team that's willing to pay that, but who knows? Who truly knows? We won't know until we get it comes time for tampering Monday, the 13th, March 13th. When we get to tampering period, tampering season, when teams are allowed to start negotiating, even though the new league year hasn't started. That's when we're going to get a good idea of what's going on with Raheem Mostert and what's going to happen. But I don't disagree with you. He could come in, close to $3 million. He could. That's 100% a possibility. Does he want it? Find out. I see he's sold. If he was single and being a nurse for date night. Is absolutely incredible. The video has chopped, but luckily audio is stable. That's good. So video's choppy, but audio is stable. Hopefully that doesn't continue. It looks like it smoothed out a little bit, and my OBS here is showing that we're doing. Shamir Jones, 6'1", 220 back. That runs a 4.3. We can get him in the 5th or 6th, possibly. Although if he's running a 4.3, he's probably going up some draft boards, maybe a little bit higher than the 5th round. He may be going into the 4th, unless people feel there's nothing there. I haven't watched any Shamir Jones tape, so Niner by nature. I've completed my running back search. I didn't watch a lot of tape on Shamir Jones. He's not on my list. That could be a bad thing. Or it also could be that I just missed it because there's a lot of prospects that you always get to go through. I hope they go for Christian Watson. They may not be able to. Came up. They may not be able to. His performance yesterday ends up being one of the faster 40 times. Up the size, the speed, everything else. He may not get to 61. So the Niners may have to move up. Now, if you trade Jimmy and get a second round pick somewhere in the 4th with an escalator to a 3rd or a 5th escalator to a 4th, you might be able to take that second that you get for him. If it's not exactly where you need it, take that second, pair it with a 4th round pick or a compensatory 3rd or something, and move up if you're absolutely in love with him there and snag him up. We'll see. Won't know until the Jimmy trade goes down, because once the Jimmy trade goes down, we have a better idea of what's going on there. Hope the 49ers are able to snag Jalen Petrie in the 2nd round. We'll see what happens. Overall, I'd rather draft a running back low, draft a safety, trade for Beasley. Maybe. Look up Shamir Jones, fam. He's sturdy. All right, I'll look him up. It wasn't on my list of guys. Shamir was not on my list that I have. I have, I think, 14 running backs that I thought fit the system a little bit better. Fit the system pretty well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll definitely put him on the list. I watched a little bit of the running backs today. I was watching more O-line today than anything else from the combine. Going through and kind of critiquing my list because my O-line, especially exterior O-line, was done already. So I've been kind of just throughout the day cleaning some things up and adding some guys and adding some names and highlighting some guys to go back and watch more film on based on performance and some things that maybe shocked me a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen. We're looking forward. Ant and I are going to have a draft combine recap show Monday morning at 11 a.m. that you're not going to want to miss. And then it's free agency content all next week. Free agency content and obviously breaking news like this, where we talk about, the Niners signing a new quarterback coach in this episode. Anyway. And then next week, most likely, special teams coach. Maybe there's some stuff coming out about Jimmy Garoppolo and trade destinations, especially with John Lynch spending all of this time this week in Indianapolis. He's fishing. He's fishing for somebody. He's trying to figure out what the value is going to be and what the Niners are going to get. And speaking of value for Jimmy Garoppolo, tomorrow's episode, 11 a.m., not value, but where he will land. We talk about it. We make some predictions. We talk about all the teams that it's likely. And there's about 10 plus teams that we talk about tomorrow in the daily episode, 11 a.m. Pacific time, about where Jimmy could land and what you could see potentially in return for it. It's going to be very, very exciting. The way Lynch spokes, it seems they are pretty happy with Banks' progress and Big Mike's recovery, so that right side might be set on the O-line. You might not be wrong. Brad, don't also forget they may be just putting him at left guard. They may tell Banks you're going to left guard, and they re-sign Brunskill to play right guard. That's entirely possible. It's 100% possible. And I know people don't want to hear that because people want to move on from Daniel Brunskill, but name me another guy right now that isn't going to cost a butt ton of money to play both, that could play guard, could play tackle, and could play center. I don't know. Now, Zion Johnson in the upcoming draft could do all of those things, but he's a rookie. You don't know what his potentiality, what he's going to be, right? You already know what Daniel Brunskill is. He's a serviceable starting right guard in this league who owns Aaron Donald, right? We know this. We all know this. He owns Aaron Donald and is serviceable the rest of the way. When we play Aaron Donald, he's the man. He's lights out. Welcome to the Cutback crew. Both came up and Melvin Tutt. Welcome to the TCC. Glad you guys hit that subscribe button. We got that 50 like number. Cutback crew, I'm proud of you. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely phenomenal. Draft early for O-line, pass rush, DB, interchangeable, later rounds, running backs, wide receivers. You could, Frank. You could. There could. There's going to be some speedy wide receivers late in this draft that you could do some stuff with. Ant and I there's a couple of guys we're stupid high on that are going to be probably around that 4th, 5th round that the Niners could get. Maybe some guys who are in that 3rd round compensatory area. Those compensatory picks coming back in a big way for the 49ers, eh? Came up, says we need O-line, corner, wide receiver. Right now, you're not wrong. Those are all things that are necessary. Free agency, though, is going to be the deciding factor on what route the Niners go with the draft, right? If they address corner in free agency and grab a Stephon Gilmore and get a couple other guys, you can pretty much kiss cornerback goodbye in the NFL draft. It probably won't happen unless it's late. If they sign some O-linemen in free agency, may not be as high of a priority. I still think center might be a priority, and they still may go center. But you don't expect to necessarily see it early. That would mean that I think it opens the door for edge rusher and for wide receiver early in this draft. It very well could be the case. So we'll see. And I know people are going to be like, wait, edge rusher? Ant and I were talking because I was going through my draft prep. I had done running backs, I had done tight ends, I had done tackles, and was kind of getting a little worn down because I did running backs first, and then I did the tight ends, and then I did tackles, and I was going to move to the interior line, and he was like, just go do edge rush. It's glorious. Absolutely phenomenal. I was like, I mean, could it really be that? It's that great. This edge rusher class is fan-freaking-tastic. Tomorrow's draft combine, if you have the opportunity to watch any of it, watch tomorrow's. Tomorrow's is going to be a spectacle. This edge rusher class is special. Special class. Extremely deep. A lot of speed. A lot of guys with a lot of talent. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. I don't want to move on from Brunskill. I'd rather him be our utility. Compton as our swing tackle with more developing. I think all of those things are correct. I think Ant and I both agree that if you're going to bring Daniel Brunskill in, if you're bringing him back anyway, you're hoping to bring him back and him not start. You're hoping for him to come back and for your young guy to either beat him out or to get somebody, if someone falls into your lap in the draft, that can get it done. Daniel Falele. I probably said that name wrong, but Calvin Austin as our dangerous punt returner, possibly. But I think the Niners are moving away from small wide receivers, Niner, by nature. I think they're moving away from smaller wide receivers. I think 5'7" guys are not what they're looking for. 5'8", my bad, Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin the third, I apologize. 5'8". I know how important that extra inch is as a guy who was constantly labeled as 5'11" when I was 6 feet tall. All right, I understand. But I think they're moving away from the smaller wide receiver because they want a more physical guy who can block. What it is. Debo and Ayuk both going for 1,000 yards next season. I hope so, Jacob. I want it. I absolutely want that. We can move on from Brunskill if Aaron Donald retires. Android user, unfortunately, he's not retiring. Aaron Donald will be back, which means Daddy Brunskill has value for the San Francisco 49ers. He has a lot of value for the 49ers. Aaron Donald is going to restructure that contract so that the Los Angeles Rams have enough money to bring back those players and try and run it back. That's what they're going to try and do. I don't fault them for doing that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. My question is, does Austin have size to handle playing the Niners style? That's the big thing, Donald. At 5'8", it's hard. It's hard to be a physical blocking presence at 5'8", especially when you don't have a lot of weight on you on top of that. Calvin Austin or just someone that generally returns the ball. Agreed, Jacob. Velus Jones out of Tennessee. Velus Jones handles the size. He's got the speed as well. Is it Austin Johnson's? No, it's not Johnson's speed, but he's just as fast. He runs in the 4.3 category. He's bigger, more physical, and he returns the ball. He might check all those boxes. There's definitely some guys. There are names of guys that can go after in this draft who check a lot of those boxes. That some of these other guys just don't. Does that mean that Johnson isn't going to be a good wide receiver? It couldn't be developed into a good wide receiver. He probably could. He just might not be a scheme fit in San Francisco. And that's one of the things that Ant and I are going to do differently with draft content than a lot of these other content creators do. And oh man, Raymond and Emily Jones, welcome to the TCC. Thank you for joining. We appreciate it. Appreciate the subscription. But that's what we do differently here than a lot of these other places do. A lot of the other 49ers podcast shows, talking heads, they're going to talk about the big prospects, right? The big names, guys that you know about. The big name guys in the 5th round and 6th round. We're looking at scheme fit. We don't care if you heard of them or not. We don't care if you've watched 1,000 hours of tape on them or not. It's all about scheme fit. It's guys that make sense. Nobody was talking about Chase Claypool a couple of years ago. Ant was talking about Chase Claypool before anyone was talking about Chase Claypool. Before he was drafted where he got drafted. Before the Senior Bowl came out, Ant was talking about Chase Claypool. Just new, right? Last year, very big on Kenny Gainwell. I was very big on him. A lot of other places weren't. Had himself a nice, solid year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Definitely a solid 3rd down running back right now who could eventually, with time and put some size on, could develop into a nice little runner, a rotational back in the NFL. And I said I thought I thought the explosive speed and the things he could do out of the backfield catching the football, I thought those were positives. And the Eagles did some good things with him this year, especially once guys went down and got injured. Look, there have been guys that we find and see and talk about, and for whatever reason, it pans out. And usually when it comes to the guys the Niners should go after and target, we hit on a couple of guys. So that's the good news. And, I think the biggest surprise for everybody last year was Aaron Banks. I don't think anybody saw coming. But because of that draft now and that move last year, we can be more prepared for what the Niners may do with the O-line if they decide to go O-line. So that's the nice thing with the draft content. Once we get into it, and we're focused right now on free agency because that's the most important thing, and obviously the Jimmy trade, that's the most important thing. But once we get out of free agency, we're going to get full speed ahead into draft content, and you guys are going to hear names that you maybe haven't heard of. We're going to talk about guys who are more scheme fits for the San Francisco 49ers than necessarily big names or well-known names or guys who played at big schools. It's going to be all about scheme fit. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about all of that when the time comes. But for right now, we get to enjoy a couple of things, right? We get to enjoy the fact that right now you have the combine, you have all of these young athletes preparing to make their debut in the NFL, getting ready to get drafted. The 49ers are wheeling and dealing to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and trying to get as much value as they possibly can. Not just because, you're trying to recoup value from the Jimmy trade a few years ago, but you're also trying to recoup value for what you gave up to go get Trey Lance. You want to lessen the blow a little bit, and the 2nd round pick does that. It truly does. So that's a positive thing. Let's go, Faithful. Glad to be here with you. Thank you, guys. Hey, glad you're a part of this. Glad you're here. Raymond and Emily John. Absolutely glad. Android user, is Trent Cannon coming back? Maybe for the 90-man roster. Maybe for that. I don't know if you can afford roster spots for guys who just are special teamers. That's not this kind of team. That's not what this roster is, It's tough. It's why we said some of the things that we said last year about Trent Sherfield and a couple other guys. Do you really, truly, can you keep those guys around if they don't add anything? Now, Trent Sherfield showed he could add something in the pass game, and he went from, for us, a bubble guy, borderline guy, to, he's made it because he's going to be a special team stud, and he's shown he can do things in the offense in training camp. So he's going to be here. Trenton Cannon has not shown he adds anything to the offense. Nothing. Not a single thing. In fact, so little to the offense that when you had injuries plenty and abound, the Niners signed a running back off the practice squad from the Bengals. I don't know if you can afford to roll with that going into next year, especially when you can potentially draft some guys at the running back position who could have an impact on special teams in this upcoming draft. So it's gonna be tough. Who are our new official coaches? As of right now, the new official coaches are Hankerson. You have this gentleman here, Brian Griese, who the Niners just signed, and then they promoted a couple guys from within. I don't have the list in front of me right now, so I'd have to pull that up. But we went over that. The coaching carousel video, Brad Jones. The only name that is not talked about and discussed is Brian Griese. So we posted that video earlier this week. Go check that out. And Marvin Porter, welcome to the Cutback crew as well. Absolutely stoked, ecstatic that you're here. I just wish you got me and Ant. You just have this face and this big schnoz. That's all you got today. You don't have Ant here. It's a lot of me right now. Not typically like that. So you get excited. If you're enjoying this, just wait. 11 a.m. tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that video. 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, landing spot. Where is he going to end up? We talk about it. We break it down. And we give some predictions of where we think he may land and what the Niners may get in return. Not going to want to miss that. Sunday as well, great video. Is Trey Lance ready or not? It's the question that's on everybody's mind. And we're going to talk about it. We may not have the answer that you want to hear, but we're going to talk about it and be as honest as we possibly can with you. Will Jeff Fisher go 7-9 in the USFL KNDR? That's the question everyone needs answered, right? That's the most important question of the day. Not is Brian Griese going to be a good coach in the NFL? Not is he going to help Trey Lance out a lot? Is Jeff Fisher going to stay a mediocre coach who can keep teams afloat and right around that 500 mark? Maybe. Not consensus, but right, like history would say they're going at least 7-9. They also could win 10 games in a row and then, falter and stumble their way into the playoffs and then lose in the first round. They could do that also. But look, yeah, okay, awesome. Go back and check it out. Yeah, no, great video, man. We go through all of the coaching hires, all the departures, everything that they did. That was earlier this week as well. So yeah, make sure you check it out. If you're a new subscriber here, tons of content. Right, this is a channel we've been on YouTube now for 2 years, and over 500 videos during that time. Season 2 was obviously the time that's ratcheted up. All the day oneers know that. We ratcheted up the content, daily videos, multiple videos a day, live streams a few times a week. So that's where we're at right now. That's the path the channel is on. Daily content is not going anywhere. It's going to be here to stay. We're back from our break. We're on full force right now. All 49ers, all free agency, all draft preparation. From now until OTAs, we're ecstatic. We're excited. Trey is ready and won't become ready if he doesn't play his Niner by nature. I mean, there's something to that. However, big however, my guy, did he or did he not improve this entire season without having played much football? I think a lot of people would say yes. What do you think about the Brian Hoyer backup rumor? It's Jacob. It's one of those things, right? It's fine. It's plain yogurt, right? It's good for you. It doesn't taste good though. Like nobody is excited about eating plain yogurt, but it's not gonna like F up your insides or anything, right? It's yogurt. It's just plain. Brian Hoyer is safe. He's plain. Good for experience, good as a mature veteran presence who can operate your system. But you're not doing that. You're not going Brian Hoyer. There's no upside there. He's not going to win you football games consistently. No. Could he come in like a Josh Rosen type of thing to fill up the 90-man roster in OTAs? Yeah, that could happen. That 100% could happen. So if you hear a Brian Hoyer signing, nobody panic because it could just be a 90-man roster thing going in. Niners went in with 4 quarterbacks last year. They could very well do that again. 100% could. Is Patrick Mahomes' brother getting trolled on social media? I don't know. Possibly. I don't know what that guy's doing. He's just dancing. Did you catch the RG3 video on Trey Lance? I didn't catch it. I saw some comments. I read a little bit of it. I wanted to get a little bit more into that, but it's been all combine for me. So when people talk about Trey Lance, I chalk it up to one of two things, right? It's either going to be negative or it's going to be positive. Hardly anyone in the media is going to give like the neutral take on Trey Lance. It's either he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, or the Niners overpaid for a rookie quarterback that needed to develop. So we'll see. It's going to be Tyrod Taylor as the backup. It could be, Brett. It very well could be. There's the Anthony Lynn connection as well that you can't forget about that. Lance said himself he learned more when he played. Well, I mean, listen, you can say you learned more when you played, but at the end of the day, right, part of that learning process is being able to understand what you're doing and adjust on the fly. That's part of it. But there's the preparation part as well. He doesn't play as well if he's not prepared, and part of the preparation was him sitting through practices, scout teams, things of that nature. Would you expect Trey Lance to say he learned more sitting on the bench? Does anyone expect that? I never said that as a player. My freshman year of high school, I was a 6-man off the bench for my basketball team. I was a 6-man. I could have started. My coach even told me I could have started. But he said, it seemed like you played better coming off the bench. And that first year, he was right. I was not 100% confident. My sophomore year, I took the jump and went from 6 men off the bench to the starting point guard for a basketball team in high school. I needed a year. You know what happened the next year when my coach was like, hey, Alex, do you want to be the starting point guard? Yes. Yeah. I'd rather put me on the floor. No, nobody who's competitive is going to come out and say, yeah, I learned more sitting on the bench. I'm not going to say that. Trey's not going to say that. And if Trey said that, there would be red flags everywhere, right? Like, oh, God, this guy does not want to be on the football field. Trey's not going to say that. He's going to say, Donald, hey, you know what? Yeah, I learned more playing. I learned more being in the game. He should say that. If he said anything else, we got problems. We got huge problems if Trey Lance said anything else. RG3 said he isn't officially retired. RG3 backup. Oh, that's what he said. Could be. The real question is how are him and Shanahan? I don't think there's anything wrong with any of them. Like, I don't think they dislike each other at all, but does Kyle think he can impart some things on him? If he thinks that, that's definitely a possibility. Hoyer, Kyle back to the safe zone. I wouldn't be the safe zone. It would be more of the stability zone. Guy who knows your system, who can make sure Trey's understanding what he's understanding. If Brian Hoyer is the backup quarterback, like if Brian Hoyer's on the roster, then I think we all know one thing. Trey Lance is 100% the starting quarterback. There you go. Nate Sudfeld on the practice squad could be the case. The power of yogurt, Spaceballs, marketing and merch where the real money is made. 100%. Frank, marketing and money is definitely where it's made. Cutback crew, look, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I got a couple of things I got to go take care of. I got some more draft combine to watch as well and some things to tidy up with my draft prep. We hope you enjoyed this. This breaking news, Brian Griese, the new quarterback coach in San Francisco for the 49ers. Absolutely huge. What a signing. Coming out of left field, the Niners. Curveballs everywhere. We'll see when this officially gets announced. We're excited for it as well. Make sure you like if you haven't already. Subscribe. If you're here and you've been watching this whole time and you've been cutting in and out, seeing what's going on, just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't take anything else other than a second of your time. And you know what? If you get sick of this face and this big schnoz right here on the screen, or you just don't like what we have to say, you can always unsubscribe. It'll take you just as much time to unsubscribe as it did to subscribe. We hope that's not the case. And you know what? If you hit that subscribe button and you start tuning in for daily videos and tuning in for live streams weekly, you're not going to want to go anywhere. This is one of the best communities on YouTube, especially 49ers communities on YouTube. Extremely positive. Your take, the things you have to say, we love hearing from the Cutback crew. We like talking with the Cutback crew more than anything else, especially when we do live streams. You're going to love this place. You're not going to want to tune away. You're not going to want to turn this thing off. You're going to want us to go live more and more often. And you know what? We appreciate the support. We love that support. Everything you guys have done for this channel, the way you've helped this channel grow over the last few years, none of this is possible. All the things that we've been doing are not possible without you, Cutback crew. So thank you, all of you who subscribed, all of you who are just commenting in live streams, liking the video, sharing it with everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll catch you on the next one. And until that time, Cutback crew and the faithful, stay safe and remember the right way is always the 49ers way.